Mic check. Can you guys hear me all right? Testing, 1, 2. All right. Is everyone ready? Okay. My name is Joseph Chacon. I'm the Interim Chief of Police for the Austin Police Department. We're here today to go ahead and give a briefing on an incident that has occurred this morning in our 6th Street Entertainment District area. Just to give a little bit of background, 6th Street on a Friday night is very busy. The streets are barricaded and we have large crowds. We're seeing crowds like we have seen prior to COVID, and they're in the street and very active. So this was around 1:30 in the morning, and I'll just go through a timeline that will provide a little perspective on what happened tonight. At 1:24 a.m., Austin 911 received a call of shots fired in the area. Initially, we had a report of 3 victims, and then as this incident unfolded, the number of victims, it became clear that there were many victims in this incident. Multiple 911 calls began coming in at that point. Fire and EMS were also notified and were asked to respond, but to stage until we could make the scene safe. At 1:26 a.m., we were able to obtain a suspect description. I'll give this description. It is not very detailed, just based on the chaotic nature of the incident this evening. But it is a black male wearing a black shirt with a skinny build and with dreadlocks, dreadlock type hair. At 1:27, 4 to 5 more patients had been called in, and one of them had very serious injuries. At 1:28, as the crowd is starting to disperse at this point, we are trying to get people coordinated for witnesses to make the scene safe. And what became very clear early on in this incident is that our officers responded very quickly. They were able to immediately begin life-saving measures for many of these patients, including applications of tourniquets, applications of chest seals, and other types of first aid equipment that they carry on their person. And I'm happy to report that at this moment we do not have any persons that are deceased. We do have 2 patients that are in critical condition. We have a total of 11 people that were transported to one hospital. 1 person was transported to a different hospital, and then 1 person reported to an urgent care clinic with multiple gunshot wounds. So there's a total at this point that we're aware of 13 victims that have been shot in this incident. As this incident was unfolding, and officers, because of the nature, again, very large crowds, it was very difficult to contain the scene. It was very difficult for EMS to make their way into this crowd. And because of the nature of the injuries, officers had to go ahead and use their police vehicles to put some of these shooting victims into the vehicles and transport them themselves to the hospital so that they could get the urgent care that they needed. Fire and EMS did manage to make their way, and we had a total of 6 patients that were transported by police, 4 were transported by EMS, and then 3 patients transported themselves in a personal vehicle. So at this point, We're reviewing all of the video sources that we have. We have our Halo public safety camera system downtown. We have officers with their body-worn cameras, as well as many businesses have surveillance video in this area, and all of those video sources will be reviewed. Our aggravated assault and homicide unit detectives are out here investigating at this time, as well as members of our organized crime and our gang units from that perspective, to see if this incident was gang-related or what other type of motive there might have been in this shooting incident. It's not clear at this point what sparked this off or why this happened, but out of an abundance of caution, we have notified the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force, which comes out on active shooter type scenarios in order to help with those investigations, and they are on the scene as well. What we're asking for at this point is for anyone that might have information on this, might have been down here and either witnessed something, or if video was taken that's on a cell phone owned by somebody in our community, for them to go ahead and contact us. You can either call 911 or you can call our tip line at 512-472-TIPS. That is about as much information as I have on this incident right now. It is very fresh, and we're still have the area shut down. It will be shut down for quite a few hours. It is a large crime scene, and I'm very grateful at this point that we do not have more people that are deceased. I do believe that it was the actions of our officers who responded very quickly and have been trained in life-saving measures, including use of their first aid kits and tourniquets that they carry on their person to be able to quickly apply that first aid and help people that were in serious injury, serious distress. Up here I have also with me people from the FBI, from the Austin Fire Department, from EMS, and then other folks here from the Austin Police Department. That is all of my prepared comments at this point. Like I said, this is still a pretty new incident and very unfolding at this point, but I will take a few questions if there's anything that I can answer.
Was the shooting all in one spot, or was it spread across multiple blocks?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that I forgot to mention is the exact location where this occurred. It occurred in the 400 block of East 6th Street. And so that, it seems to be isolated at this point, but that is something that's still being investigated.
As a police officer, what's going through your mind when this kind of scenario happens?
Obviously, the first thing is trying to save people's lives, as well as identify a suspect and get that person into custody. I think that we did the first part, and we're working on the second part right now.
Have all the suspects been caught, and is the public in any danger right now?
I would say that the public, I cannot say that there's no further public danger at this point because the suspect is not in custody. So it appears at this point to be isolated to this one area, but as we receive more information on that, we'll put it out. Yes.
Is there possibly any connection to the Rot Rally being in town?
The Rot Rally is here, and that does bring in large crowds. I don't have any information right now that it's directly related to that.
Is there any chance at a potential to shut down 6th or tighten up security around 6th Street over this weekend, or possibly throughout the summer after something like this?
Security is always pretty good down here because of the way that we cordon off the streets, block off the streets, using barricades and try to keep people safe that way. We have a lot of officers that are assigned to our downtown area command, and that actually work in this area. There's a high visible presence of officers. We try to keep it as safe as we can. But what we have seen in recent months and over the last year or so is an increase in our gun violence. And so this is just emblematic of that. It continues, and it's something that we're really trying to work to decrease.
I'm sorry, could you tell me just a few of the factors of why the FBI were called in on this?
Anytime that we have a potential of a active shooter or a scene that might be some type of, there might be a domestic terrorism nexus, we call them in. At this point, I don't know that that is the case. It cannot be ruled out, and therefore we call them in early on so that they come early on in the investigation.
Do we have an idea of how many shooters there were or how many gunmen there were?
No, not at this point.
What about what caliber of weapon was used?
Don't know that at this point.
And any word on what kind of weapon was used, not just caliber?
No, don't know that at this point.
Just to recheck again, you said how many victims was it again total?
So we have a total of 13 victims. 11 are at one hospital, we have one at a different hospital, and then one at an urgent care clinic.
No fatalities?
At this time, no, but we do have 2 that are in critical condition.
What do you suggest people do when they're out on 6th Street if something like this were to occur again? What should people think of first?
You know, we always tell people when they're in large crowds like this, when they come down to the entertainment district, to just be vigilant, to take care, to take the type of steps that you would want them to take, that we would want them to take to keep themselves safe, including, being with other people, and to just be very aware, have a plan if you are going to be drinking on how you're going to get home, those type of things. But we try to create a safe environment for them.
Do you know how many officers were downtown on 6th Street when this happened?
I don't have the exact number right now.
Last question. Was the gentleman that was laying on the ground by the cone in that one scene, was he connected? Was he a victim of this particular?
So we had multiple victims that at one point or another were laid on the ground. So that's when our officers were applying, like I said, the life-saving measures, and ultimately we got them all transported. Thank you all very much.